Welcome to RANsquawk's e-morning briefing for Tuesday the 14th of July of 2009. Just gone through 8:30 now in London, so a quick look around the markets. Obviously we did see quite a strong finish in the equity markets on Wall Street yesterday, predominantly led by the financials, the leading sector in the S&P 500, benefiting from expectations that Goldman Sachs are going to post some pretty stellar numbers later on this morning, and also out of positive rhetoric from the closely followed financial analyst Meredith Whitney, who did have some upbeat comments for the banking sector in general, and particularly that of Goldman Sachs. So taking a look in terms of the Nikkei, that did finish up just shy of the 2% margin in the Asian session, and through into the European morning then, the first half an hour of trade, we are marginally positive across the FTSE, CAC and DAX. Taking a look then of just a quick run through of some of the overnight news, firstly in Asia. Obviously we'll see the Bank of Japan interest rate decision. They've started their two-day meeting. The rate announcement itself will come tomorrow. Comments out of the Japanese Finance Minister Yazano has called on the central bank to keep buying commercial paper and corporate bonds beyond September despite signs of recovery in the credit markets. That's obviously something we could see announced with the interest rate. And looking elsewhere, a couple of positive data points as well, which has lifted a bit of sentiment, especially in the currency markets this morning. Firstly, coming out in terms of the Asian session, the Australian business sentiment turned positive in June for the first time since December of 2007. Sentiment index rising 6 points to 4 after being in negative numbers for the last 17 months. Elsewhere out of the UK, we've seen in the housing market, RICS house price balance for June came in at minus 18.1%. Analysts were actually looking for pretty much a double size in contraction. Expectations were for minus 40%, so quite a bit better there. House prices then in England and Wales fell at their slowest annual pace in almost 2 years last month, while confidence in the price outlook turned positive for the first time since May of 2007. Elsewhere as well, from the UK High Street, we had numbers from the BRC, where retail sales rose in June as a heatwave drove consumers back into shops to stock up on summer clothes, picnic food and garden furniture. According to the BRC, their like-for-like sales rose 1.4% last month compared to a year ago, more than reversing the minus 0.8% reading we saw in May. Elsewhere as well, sticking with the UK, some comments out of MPC member Bean saying that it's too early to say if QE has worked. Says rates take about 9 months to work and QE at least as long in terms of the period. And Bean said it's inevitable unemployment will keep rising. His comments as well covered in the Yorkshire Post this morning. So very much the focus then in equities as we trade in minor positive territory. The financials again in Europe, some of the best performing. WTI crude futures also trading higher this morning with a predominantly weaker dollar, which has aided some of the oil and gas stocks. But those Goldman's earnings, they'll be due at 8:30 Eastern time, so we'll be looking out any time between 11, 12 to 1 o'clock in London. Analysts at the moment on Bloomberg, they're expecting the headline EPS on Goldman's to come in at $3.65 and to post a profit for the second quarter of around $2 billion. Other than that, then looking ahead to the UK calendar, it is quite busy today. We'll see at 9:30 UK CPI numbers alongside the DCLG house price number for May. Then moving swiftly on, we'll see the German ZEW survey alongside Eurozone industrial production at 10 o'clock. Main figures out of the US today will be the PPI numbers and advanced retail sales report. That'll be followed at 3 o'clock when we'll see IBD tips and also business inventories. Other than that, speaker-wise, looking out for Bank of England's MPC nominee Poston, he testifies at 9:30, and SEC's Chairman Shapiro testifies at 3 o'clock this afternoon in the US. And supply-wise, out of Europe, we'll have an Italian, a reopening of a 5-year BTP, looking at a maximum size of around 3.75 billion euros worth, and then we'll have a Fed outright Treasury coupon purchase 2011 to 2012 duration. Usual time results around 4 o'clock London time.